juice should have kept you where you belong. No matter how many gods fall, there will always be another to stand against you.
They will fall as well.
The death of Olympus means the death of us all.
Then prepare for your death, Poseidon.
I had gone through this in my impressions video, but I have decided to make this video all on its own because it seems like other gamers don't have the same view as I do on the respective online services of the Xbox Live and PSN. I haven't really experienced the online network much on the Nintendo side of things. I completely ignored the Wii console. As a result, I have no theory yet for Nintendo. Essentially, I'll try to answer why PSN was free all this time, and why it's most likely a paid service now in comparison to the Xbox Live. Just a little history with gaming. My first online gaming experience was with the PS2 or the PC. It doesn't matter which one was first, I just used both online services in the 90s. In the PS2 days, with the online, it was very similar to the PC online, with, if not identical, which is why I stuck with the PS2 for so long, or the PlayStation I should say. I have been gaming from the entirety of the DOS, right through each console generation from Nintendo to the present, with an on and off again with the relationship with PC. When it comes to gaming, I have seen enough of its evolution where I can appreciate retro gaming, with small digital titles like Limbo, or young enough to naturally accept new generations of gamers, and games like COD. In my definition, retro gaming means 2 generations and beyond. So in a sense, I believe I have the perfect balance of knowledge and experience to talk on many topics on gaming without much research because I had experienced it to an extent. First up, Xbox Live service that forced people to have a broadband connection for better experiences like the Dreamcast did. Because before this, people had a choice of dial-up modem or an internet connection, which is DSL or broadband. What Microsoft had done with their service was that they hosted all the game servers and created a standardization of features and connection speeds. At this point of gaming, it was needed because it reduced the amount of lag or problems with the network code. At this point of online gaming, gamers would have to create an online name for every game. With Xbox Live, it created the first unified online ID carrying with you from game to game. The benefit of this network topology was that Microsoft controlled all the network code while the developers can focus on developing the game. The downfall to this was that there is a single point of failure in the network, and if older hardware is using the network, it can hold back the network from implementing new features. This reason alone is why I think Microsoft dropped support of the Xbox so easily. As with the Xbox 360, the same network topology is being used with slightly better features, but overall using the same methods from the previous generation. One of the many mishaps that had happened with Xbox Live was with many people signing up for Xbox Live crashing Xbox Live instead of a single game that would tend to happen with other platforms like PC or PlayStation. Bringing this to modern day, I would say Microsoft had stayed with this topology for at least 2 generations. With the Xbox One, Microsoft has claimed that they have installed dedicated servers for each game. I don't think they have done this, in my opinion. What I think they actually have done is create new servers for Xbox One and keeping the same ones for the previous generation. And could explain why some of the features are presently gone, like voice messages. As with those new servers, I think they created the same topology where they host the gaming under one network with a single point of failure, but incorporate cloud tech this time around. So in a nutshell, trying to perfect the hosting services that they have been providing this whole time. One last thing I want to add to is that Microsoft tends to have a paywall with games that are not on their servers. So games that are like MMOs that have a fee in order for you to play is also behind the paywall that's on Xbox Live, even though it's not an Xbox Live itself. So that I find a little bit annoying why Microsoft does that, because if it's not on your network, why charge people to play the game that's on someone else's network? The only thing that they're probably doing is like connecting the authentication, like having the IDs connect to their servers, but the servers aren't on Microsoft, it's on the developers, whoever's making the MMO, if it's not owned by Microsoft. Now with the PlayStation 2 and its online portion of the gaming community, it would mimic the PC online gaming to a T. What I mean by this is that the network topology was identical, which is why I liked it and hated it for ways. So the PS2 online players would have to create online IDs for each game, and the developers created the networks for their own games unless the developer was owned by Sony. The problem with this network topology is nothing was standard, so one game might have voice chat while another didn't. The plus side to this is that a particular game was so popular that it bottlenecked the servers. It would only affect that particular game, like PC online gaming. With the PlayStation 3, it was a good point to create a nice network design to allow standard features that every user can do when setting up their information, which is allowing a create, read, update, and maybe delete/deactivate feature when setting up their online profiles and stuff. I can understand not allowing a delete to a user's information to an extent, but not allowing a simple things like name changes in my eyes screams poor database design. Even with that stated, they finally created a unified ID that would allow the players to carry over from one game to another, mimicking Xbox Live to a degree. This alone to me is creating a medium of PC online gaming with the console's unified IDs, so Sony created the best of both worlds in a sense. The PlayStation 3 online portions of games would still be created by developers, essentially creating dedicated servers to a point, because nothing is stopping the developer to using the same service for another game they created. The major downfall to this network topology is that gamers would notice more than anything is that there were still no standard online features, so developers didn't implement voice chat, it won't be in the game. On the bright side, there are many PlayStation games that would support text chat in lobbies and in-game, mods, in-game stores with many other add-ons in lobbies, and such similar to PC online gaming. Some of the games that would display text chat in lobbies and in-game would be Resistance and Little Big Planet. Games with mods that would be Unreal Tournament 3, and a game that had its own in-game store would be Metal Gear Solid Online. The implementation of mods was decent, but in-game store, though did work, used the browser, and would have been better to implement the in-game store purchases through the PlayStation Store. As a result, the PSN allowed more freedom for developers to create their own thing, but the downside is that the quality varies with each developer or implementation. With the PlayStation 4, I'm assuming the network topology is the same, but now PlayStation users currently need to pay to play for most of the online games. I think this is due to expanding PSN network, with features maybe funding for network services, on top of the time-released digital rental games up for grabs each month. In the end, Xbox Live, if correct, is paying for the network topology, not so much whether the service is high quality or not. With the PS4, if correct, it appears you are paying for online development, functions and features, and time-released digital game rentals. It sucks that it appears that PlayStation Network database is most likely not normalized, as stated in my impressions video due to a statement made once on Game Trailers, the CEO/rep of Sony Gaming Division, saying that the PSN name ID changes is possible, but would have to change a lot of names in a lot of locations, making it difficult. As a result, not having something simple as a name change possible on PSN unless they do a restructure of the database, if correct. With that said, I would say Sony's image has been pretty good so far with the online portion, because it appears that developers aren't struggling with the netcode and hardware tech. On the flip side, even though Xbox Live has been known for being high quality and smooth service, I'm having many problems on the Xbox Live front end than on the PSN, which is kind of interesting because everyone's praising Microsoft at this moment, but every time I check the Xbox Live status in the Canadian region, it tends to be a problem somewhere with the Xbox 360 or Xbox One or the social features or something. So to conclude this, and hopefully I'm not repeating myself, is that generally speaking, when an online game for PlayStation is not working well or is missing a feature, that is generally due to the developer themselves and not so much Sony. And with Xbox Live and Microsoft, if a game's not working, that's usually due to Microsoft, not the developer, because the developer does not control the online portion, and it's all controlled by Microsoft. Since they are a software company, you want to keep the jobs internally, not externally. So that's like the ideology of that there. My ideal online service would be Microsoft's database design, because it allows something simple as name changes with PSN network topology and the PS4's hardware. In reality, it appears Microsoft likes to control everything since they are a software company and tend to have a closed development ideology. As with Sony, they tend to be a hardware company, but still allows other companies to develop hardware for their products. As with their network, the quality varies with developer by developer or case by case. As with Microsoft's route, it's safer but closed, meaning that internal development or partnership only. As with Sony, it's more of an open development ideology, where developers can do what they want, since it's not Sony's servers. The funny thing is that when a Sony online game is not working, PlayStation gets blamed for it, like Sony. But when a PC online game is not working, the developer gets blamed for it. And I think when it comes to these two platforms, PlayStation and PC, the developer should be blamed for it when it comes to the online portions, because Sony doesn't have a standard for online, and developers create their own networks, what it appears to be anyways. So with that said, PC and PlayStation platform games, when it comes to the online portion, are virtually identical and generally should be blamed for the developers unless the developer is owned by Sony. If you are to learn something from this video, whether or not I'm wrong, paying for a service is a completely different concept when comparing the design of how the service is being delivered, because it can determine the quality of that service. Xbox Live is a paid service, but doesn't necessarily mean a better service, because on PC, online fees are up to the developers since no one really owns anything on PC. On top of that, the PC development is easier than consoles, considering computers are programmable machines and can focus more on standard hardware than custom tech. In a lot of ways, PSN mimics PC when it comes to game development control of a project. In the end, a paid service doesn't always mean better, hence why reviews are created. Does anyone remember Shadowrun for the Xbox 360? That was an online-only game, and if you didn't pay for the service, the game was useless. On top of that, the online wasn't even worth it in many ways. Contrary to PlayStation, a game called Warhawk is an online-only game that has no problems and is still being played today. So I hope you learned something, that don't believe everything you hear, and this is Terminator TX3 signing out.
Seb, you want to call the elevator? I take the stairs only... How'd they get to use lightning for a weapon anyhow? I guess they lucked out with the climate. Provided you like breathing hot ash through a straw. Man, look at that thing.
Alpha! Next wave of landing craft is incoming! What's your status?
We got visual, sir.
I need that thing gone before the intruders hit!
Yes, sir. One and only.
6th Division at your service.
They've got me raped!
Resistance moderate to heavy, they said.
Moderate by us! Seth, come on! They're digging in on the other side! Move! Move! Right behind you! Seth, down!
Man, look at that thing.
Alpha! Next wave of landing craft is incoming! What's your status?
We got visual, sir.
I need that thing gone before the intruders hit!
Yes, sir.
Hey, you guys Alpha?
One and only.
6th Division at your service. Resistance moderate to heavy, they said.
Moderate by us! Seth, come on! They're digging in on the other side! Advancing! Right behind you!
Man, look at that thing.
Alpha! Next wave of landing craft is incoming! What's your status?
We got visual, sir.
I need that thing gone before the intruders hit!
One and only. Yes, sir.
Division at your service.
got visual, sir.
I need that thing gone before the intruders hit!
Yes, sir.
Hey, you guys Alpha?
One and only.
6th Division at your service.
Look at that thing.
Alpha! Next wave of landing crab is incoming! What's your status?
We got visual, sir.
I need that thing gone before the intruders hit!
Yes, sir.
6th Division at your service.
Arc tower's this way.
Any idea how to take it down? No, I'm sure you can figure it out, genius. Reloading.
not really the time, sir!